Making headlines. The president is set to depart to the USA to participate in the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly. Maldives launches international bunkering services. And the Foreign Ministry announces that ETA will be required for individuals travelling to UK from January 2025.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to PSM News in English with me, Hafiz Abdul Sattar. And now the news in detail. President's office announces that President Dr. Mohamed Muiz is set to depart to the United States of America, USA, to participate in the 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly, UNGA 79. This visit marks the President's inaugural official trip to the United Nations General Assembly. Speaking at a press conference, a chief spokesperson at the President's office, Hina Walid, announced that President Dr. Muiz will attend the UNGA 79. The President will be delivering remarks at the UN General Assembly and participate in a special open debate at the UN Security Council. Hina revealed that this will be the first time a Maldivian president participates in a debate at the UN Security Council. Furthermore, President Dr. Muiz will also partake in some events occurring on the sidelines of the UNGA 79. As such, the government affirmed that the president is scheduled to attend the summit of the future and will also deliver a speech to students at Princeton University. Economic diversification has been a central topic for successive Maldivian governments. The need to reduce reliance on the tourism-driven economy became particularly evident during the COVID-19 pandemic, when the nation's primary industry was forced to shut down, leaving no other sectors to cushion the impact. Despite this clear warning, meaningful action to diversify the economy has been lacking until now.
This administration is demonstrating a concrete commitment to economic diversification. Early in its term, efforts began to establish an international financial industry in the Maldives. Among the government's key initiatives is the introduction of international bunkering services, a vital step in diversifying the economy. The first of these services was inaugurated in the northern region of the Maldives. The inauguration ceremony was attended by Minister of Economic Development and Trade Mohammed Said, and the service was inaugurated by 5 members of parliament representing the atoll. The State Trading Organization STO has taken the lead in providing these international bunkering services. According to STO, the service is already attracting bookings. To facilitate this, the company has introduced 2 vessels to the Maldives, each with a capacity of approximately 4,000 tons. A symbolic water salute was given to the first ships servicing the bunkering operation. The initial fuel supply was provided to MSS ship, the YC Barrier, by the Marine Bella, one of the vessels brought in for the purpose. The Maldives is positioned along one of the busiest maritime routes globally, with hundreds of ships carrying billions of dollars worth of cargo passing daily. Up until now, these vessels have relied on neighboring countries like Sri Lanka, India and Singapore for bunkering services due to the lack of low sulfur fuel availability in the Maldives. With the introduction of bunkering services in the Maldives, the country is poised to become a key destination for ships in need of refueling. The necessary low-sulfur fuel and diesel will now be readily available within the country. Currently, the Maldives' GDP stands at approximately $6.5 billion. However, the government estimates that the new bunkering industry could generate an additional $400 million annually. Meanwhile, Maldives Ports Limited MPL has established Northern Maritime Services to provide various other maritime services related to bunkering. These services include pilotage, docking, crew changes and vessel maintenance, all of which will attract foreign currency into the economy. The launch of bunkering and related maritime services marks the birth of a significant new industry in the Maldives. This initiative is expected to become one of the largest contributors to the country's economy in the years to come, providing a sustainable source of income beyond tourism.
Ministry of Foreign Affairs announces that electronic travel authorization (ETA) will be required for individuals traveling to the United Kingdom (UK) from January 2025.
In a statement, the ministry stated that the UK government had announced amendments brought to its Immigration Act. Citing the UK government, the ministry stated that the primary objective of the amendment was to enhance and strengthen their border controls and digitalize the security systems. The initiative also aims to prevent any corrupt activities to take place within UK's immigration system and ensure precautionary and safety measures are undertaken before entering the country. As a result of this amendment, citizens from 49 countries, including the Maldives, can request for an ETA from November 27th. The ETA will be mandatory for all travellers to the UK starting January 8, 2025, costing $13.28 and valid for 2 years. It allows multiple trips for a maximum duration of 6 months per visit or until the passport expires. Additionally, the UK government has stated that beginning April 2, 2025, all travellers except those from the UK and Ireland will require an ETA to enter the country. In light of these changes, the ministry urges all Maldivians to take note of this new requirement.
The Ministry of Homeland Security and Technology announces the launch of its ID card printing system on an island in the Maldives for the first time. The new service is now available in Willingili, Gulf Alif Atoll. The launch event was attended by Minister of Homeland Security and Technology Ali Hassan and Deputy Minister of the Department of National Registration DNR Ahmad Ali. It marks a significant expansion of the ID card printing service, which was previously only accessible at the DNR office in Male City's Velanage building. The DNR had signed an agreement with the Gulf Alif Atoll Council in July to implement the new service. The DNR was established in 1984 to manage and collect information on residents. The department was renamed from the Identity Card Unit to the Department of National Registration on November 11, 1993. Currently, the DNR operates 174 collection centers and introduced its first online ID card process in 2021 in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The portal was upgraded in March of the previous year to a new DNR online platform. In addition to printing ID cards, the DNR now offers a service to deliver the cards to the local council of the respective island. Minister of Higher Education, Labour and Skills Development, Dr. Mariam Maria, reveals that a total of $30.6 million has been granted for student loans.
Speaking at a press conference held at the President's office, Minister Dr. Maria stated that loans were being processed continuously regardless of the concerns raised by individuals, stating that there are delays. As such, the minister disclosed that a total of $30.6 million have been granted for student loans so far this year. She further revealed that the delays in loan processing were due to some administrative challenges. Student loan opportunities are provided by the government every 6 months. Therefore, the Ministry of Higher Education, Labour and Skills Development requires students to submit relevant documents from the university students enrolled to confirm that they are continuing their higher studies. Minister Dr. Maria stated that some students submit documents without giving the ministry adequate time to complete the process of issuing loans. During the press briefing, Minister of State for Higher Education, Labour and Skills Development, Dr. Abdul Rahim Hassan, shed light on the process of issuing loans for the students seeking higher education for the first time. State Minister Dr. Abdul Rahim stated that students are given an 18-month period to commence studies after they are informed that they will be receiving a loan. He stressed that some students submit relevant documents from the university without giving the ministry sufficient time. Furthermore, State Minister Dr. Abdul Rahim disclosed that a total of 214 students will be departing this month to seek higher education abroad for the first time.
Maldives receives the Global Islamic Finance Award.
During the GIFA Awards ceremony, Maldives was presented with the Global Islamic Finance Leadership Award country category. The Maldives earned this award for its efforts to promote Islamic finance sustainably and its achievements so far. Minister of Finance Dr. Muhammad Shafiq received the award on behalf of President Dr. Muhammad Muizzu. Speaking at the ceremony, Minister Dr. Shafiq shed light on the history of Islamic finance and the changes brought to the Islamic finance system over the years. The minister underscored the need to increase awareness on Islamic finance within the country. He further outlined the government's vision of transforming the Maldives into a regional hub of Islamic finance. GIFA award ceremonies are held annually aimed at highlighting, encouraging and rewarding the country's institutions and individuals with an exceptional performance and contributions to the growth of the global Islamic banking and finance community. This year, the ceremony was held on September 18th at Villa Nautica. The event was attended by senior officials from financial institutions of the Maldives.
The Ministry of Finance announces the sale of Treasury bills, T-bills, worth $214 million to fund government expenditures. It includes the issuance of 4 T-bills, totaling the same amount. The Finance Ministry sold a T-bill worth $129 million to be paid in 28 days, a T-bill worth $11 million to be paid in 98 days, and a T-bill worth $48 million to be paid in 196 days, as well as a T-bill worth $30 million to be paid in 364 days. The ministry noted that the interest rate on the T-bills ranges from 3.50% to 4.60%. T-bills are a short-term financial instrument. The Finance Ministry issues T-bills as discounted prices in the local currency with the face value repayable at the end of the specified repayment period. Hence, this benefits the T-bill investors and not the state. The T-bills issued by the government is usually bought by the banks, Maldives Pension Administration Office, as well as public and private companies. Minister of Climate Change, Environment and Energy Tariq Ibrahim has revealed that the government aims to introduce renewable energy in land and sea transportation. He made the remarks during the inauguration of the Energy Policy and Strategy 2024 to 2029. This initiative aims to enhance the energy sector of the Maldives and develop it sustainably. Speaking at the inauguration, Minister Tariq stated that the energy policy and strategy aims to reduce the Maldives' dependency on imported oil and produce energy with the available renewable resource as per the pledge made by President Dr. PSMNEWS at the 2023 United Nations Climate Change Conference, COP28. Furthermore, Minister Tariq highlighted that the transportation industry is the industry which utilizes diesel the most. Therefore, the policy includes works pertaining to analyze how much renewable energy can be utilized in land and sea transportation. The minister also stated that e-vehicles will be brought to the Maldives under the policy. The Ministry of Climate Change, Environment and Energy announces that introduce is based on 5 main areas of development. This includes the analyzing ways to generate energy from solar power technology and hydro and wind energy and develop them. Additionally, it aims to introduce new energy technologies to the Maldives and further develop human resources in the field. The policy also includes the introduction of new measures to be implemented to reduce energy wastage and increase awareness, all while strengthening the laws and regulations required to enhance the management of authorities within the field. Chief Executive Officer of Maldives Ports Limited MPL, Muhammad Wajih Ibrahim, reaffirms the company's commitment to developing the maritime industry into a major revenue-generating sector for the Maldives.
Speaking at the Uligan ISPS gate opening ceremony, Wajih highlighted MPL's shift from focusing solely on container removal services, which he admitted had been insufficient to cover operational costs, resulting in increased service prices. Wajih outlined MPL's vision to expand its offerings with plans to reduce service prices once maritime services are fully launched. He emphasized the critical need for diversification in revenue-generating industries beyond tourism and fishing, sectors that currently drive the country's economy. Under the leadership of President Dr. PSMNEWS, the maritime industry has become a natural priority, and MPL is determined to ensure it becomes a vital component of economic growth. MPL's new office in Ulugan, Alif Atoll, will provide 14 maritime services, and the company is well equipped to meet the demands of the market. A dedicated website has been launched to promote these services, and MPL has already started receiving inquiries. Wajir acknowledged the challenges of entering a highly competitive global maritime market, but expressed confidence in MPL's ability to offer high-quality services at competitive prices. Wajir reiterated MPL's goal of establishing the maritime industry as a key driver of the Maldivian economy, ensuring long-term sustainability and growth for the country.
And now we'll take a short break for Isha prayer.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمدًا الوسيلة والفضيلة والدرجة الرفيعة وبعثه مقامًا محمودًا الذي وعدته وارزقنا شفاعته برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين وصلى الله على محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.
and the resumption of commercial activity.
hafta nimigen dairo tuniga nashrahuga eta kamen gagande
Nalata hadakuram iki faharo iki gotak kitang adutan nerito.
ದುನಿಯಾಗೆ ಫೆಬ್ರವರಿಗ ಬೊಡೆತಿ ಎತ ನಿಮ್ಮುಂತಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ
Lumnan border agatuga Yahudin gang ko fawat afatiki abadi takum mihu huskuranje fawani.
Tahuziba muhana duniyega mi maulumata ingu muhimu ಹಫ್ತಾಗೆ ದುನಿಯೆ ಹೊಣಿಹಿರು ದುವಹುಗೆರೆ 22 ಕಡಿ ಸುಮ್ಮಿನಟುಗ PSMNEWS
Welcome back to PSMNEWS in English, and now we'll continue with the news. The Federal Reserve cut interest rates by 0.5 percentage point, kicking off what is expected to be a steady easing of a monetary policy with a larger than usual reduction in borrowing cost that followed growing unease about the health of the job market.
Policymakers on the U.S. Central Bank's rate-setting committee said in their latest statement, which drew a dissent from Governor Michelle Bowman, who favored only a 0.25 percentage point cut, said that the committee has gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2% and judges that the risks to achieving its employment and inflation goals are roughly in balance. Policymakers see the Fed's benchmark rate falling by another 0.5 percentage point by the end of this year, another full percentage point in 2025, and by a final 0.5 percentage point in 2026 to end in a 2.75% to 3.00% range. The endpoint reflects a slight upgrade from 2.8% to 2.9% in the longer-run federal funds rate, considered a neutral stance that neither encourages nor discourages economic activity. Fed Chair Jerome Powell said at a press conference following the meeting that the decision reflects the growing confidence that with an appropriate recalibration of their policy stance, strengths in the labor market can be maintained in a context of moderate growth and inflation moving sustainably down 2%.
Our patient approach over the past year has paid dividends. Inflation is now much closer to our objective, and we have gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2%. As inflation has declined and the labor market has cooled, the upside risks to inflation have diminished and the downside risks to employment have increased. We now see the risks to achieving our employment and inflation goals as roughly in balance, and we are attentive to the risks to both sides of our dual mandate.
U.S. stocks gained following the release of the statement and updated quarterly economic projections, while the U.S. dollar DXY fell against a basket of currencies. U.S. Treasury yields fell. Even though inflation remains somewhat elevated, the Fed's latest statement said policymakers chose to cut the overnight rate to the 4.75% to 5.00% range in light of the progress on inflation and the balance of risks. Following the release of the statement and projections, investors in contracts tied to the Fed's policy rate put about a 64% probability on a 0.25 percentage point cut at the central bank's next two-day policy meeting, which begins a day after the election.
Lebanese citizens in Beirut expressed their growing concerns after multiple device blasts across the country.
Handheld radios used by armed group Hezbollah detonated on Wednesday, September 18th across Lebanon's south in the country's deadliest day since cross-border fighting erupted between the militants and Israel nearly a year ago, stoking tensions after similar explosions of the group's pages the day before. Lebanon's health ministry said 20 people were killed and more than 450 injured on Wednesday in Beirut's suburbs and the Bekaa Valley, while the death toll from Tuesday's explosions rose to 12, including 2 children with nearly 3,000 injured. Israeli officials have not commented on the blast, but security sources said Israel's spy agency, Mossad, was responsible. One Hezbollah official said that the episode was the biggest security breach in the group's history. The operations, which appear to throw Hezbollah into disarray, played out alongside Israel's 11-month-old war in Gaza and heightened fears of an escalation of its Lebanese border and the risk of a full-blown regional war. Jordan's foreign minister, Ayman Safadi, accused Israel of pushing the Middle East to the brink of a regional war by orchestrating a dangerous escalation on many fronts. The US, which denied any involvement in the blast, said it was pursuing intensive diplomacy to avert an escalation of the conflict. A US official speaking on condition of anonymity said Israel told Washington on Tuesday it was going to do something in Lebanon. But Israel did not provide details, and the operation itself was a surprise to Washington, the official said. At least one of Wednesday's blasts in Lebanon took place near a funeral organized by Iran-backed Hezbollah for those killed the previous day, when thousands of the group's pages exploded across the country and wounded many of its fighters.
And that's all we have for this hour. Thank you for watching. Wish you all a very pleasant day ahead.
And the resumption of commercial activity.
Hafta nimigen dairo duniyega nashrahuga eta kamen gagande.
Tadata hadakura mis eki faharo eki gotak kitang arutan nerito.
ದುನಿಯೆಗೆ ಫೆಬ್ರವರಿಗ ಬೊಡೆತಿ ಎತ ನಿಮ್ಮುಂತಕೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ
Lubnan ke border agatuga Yahudin gan ko fawat afatiki abadita kum mihu huskuran jey fawani.
Tahuziba mungana duniyega mi maulumata ingu muhimu. ಹಫ್ತಾಗೆ ದುನಿಯೆ ಹೊಣಿಹಿರು ದುವಹುಗೆರೆ 22 ಕಡಿ ಸುಮ್ಮಿನೆಟುಗ PSMNEWS
ವ್ಯಾಪಾರಿಗೆ ದಾಯಿರಾಯಿ ಹಫ್ತಾ ತೆರೆಗ ಫಾಹ ಕೊಲ್ಲವೆ ಮುಹಿಮ ಮೌಲ್